Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed my free sneak peek videos last week, and I hope they helped you out if you're thinking about building a router table. That was just one project in the Powered Up course, but I designed all of them to challenge your skills and to teach you a lot of new ones. They're all just as detailed as those videos. In this video, I want to talk to you a little bit more about Powered Up and why I hope you'll consider challenging yourself today. Enrollment is now open through Sunday only. So here it is, January. Has anybody asked you about your resolutions and goals? Have you set any yourself? Do any of them kind of sound like this? I want to be happier this year. I want to spend less time on social media. I want to get fit and exercise more. My goal is to spend more time in the shop. Okay, we all know those aren't really quantifiable goals. All they really do is kind of shine a light on aspects of ourselves that we really wish we could improve. On the other hand, some of you might set specific goals, but with really low-hanging fruit. I'd like to pet a goat this year, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to achieve that at the county fair this summer. Well, maybe not that goal exactly, but you get the idea. Setting specific goals is a great idea, but those goals really don't mean much unless they force you to challenge yourself. So back in 2014, I literally couldn't run around the block without getting winded. That's not even a third of a mile. By 2016, I set a goal to compete in a half marathon. And in January 2017, I set an ambitious goal for myself to run 7 half marathons by the end of the year. This was seriously a daunting challenge for me. And my own self-doubt was really only the beginning of the skepticism I encountered once I started sharing my goals with other people. In the previous 6 years, I had really been through a lot between beating cancer, drastically changing my lifestyle, losing 30 pounds, and all the while building things and making YouTube videos. Then, on top of that, I created my first woodworking course, The Weekend Woodworker, which pushed my time and skills to the limit. And throw in all of the stuff running a business and just living a life, and I didn't exactly have a lot of free time. Around February of 17, I was wondering whether this half marathon challenge might be just one DIY bridge too far. It really meant a lot of time training. But in spite of all of that, I doubled down with all of the grit, sandpaper pun, all of the grit I could muster and pushed towards my goal. Looking back on that year, there were so many highs and lows to power through, and even some really painful moments. I vividly remember my third race, which was in May, because I experienced shooting intense pain in my knee and I almost couldn't finish the race. I actually had to spend the next month working really closely with a physical therapist to overcome the problem. Turns out that running is really much more about the hips than the legs. Luckily, my next race wasn't until August, so I had a lot of time to kind of reset and get stronger. But ultimately, I did complete that 7-race challenge, and I got this medal, and I learned a tremendous amount in the process. I can still remember how amazing it felt to cross that 7th finish line in December that year. It was incredibly fulfilling to know that I had achieved my goal, and I felt ready to tackle anything that came my way. It's getting pretty full. And by the way, my goal this year is to compete in my first full marathon, which takes more than twice as much time to train for. Honestly, I believe it's when we take on a proper challenge, a real challenge, when we tackle something that's a bit bigger than we think we can do right now, that we not only grow, but we are really most engaged in life. Don't wait 50 years to figure that out like I did. It seems as though nowadays we live in a world where so much of what we do is just on autopilot or just steered towards mindless consumption and endless scrolling. And by the way, I quit Twitter over a year ago and feel so much more focused and productive, and let's face it, a lot less icky. Don't get me wrong, most of you know I love going to movies and sitting in a theater every Friday night. However, it's balancing this kind of entertainment with doing something productive and active that makes for a good life. It's when we're facing a challenge, when we're working towards a goal, when we're pushing our boundaries and moving out of our comfort zones that we feel most alive. And now you're probably wondering what all of this has to do with woodworking. Well, When we think about woodworking, the things that usually come to mind are things like lumber, sawdust, tools, gluing things together, and of course that's all part of it. But do you know what woodworking really is about for me and why I still love doing this after 40 years? It's about having a meaningful and engaging hobby. It's about who you're becoming with that free time that we keep telling ourselves we have less and less of. Thinking back on the times I've spent in my workshop, it becomes obvious how practicing this craft has become a sanctuary for me, a place to go for meaning and depth and a break from all the noise of the internet. Here's another tip. Try making your shop a phone-free zone. Unplug yourself and plug in a table saw. It's when you focus on making something that didn't exist before and your entire world slows down and becomes smaller. It's these moments that characterize woodworking for me. And that's also one of the reasons why I started creating online woodworking courses. I wanted to give more people the chance to access this special experience and this sense of fulfillment that you can get from stepping back and looking at a finished project. However, it's over the past few years that I've really come to realize that it's not just woodworking that gives you this sense of fulfillment. After all, hanging out in your shop, puttering around aimlessly, or just fixing something won't give you that deep level of gratification. And I thought for a long time about why this is, and I wondered what really brings joy and meaning to time spent woodworking. And strangely enough, it was my half marathon challenge that helped me understand more deeply how to get the greatest satisfaction out of my time in the shop. Just as my half marathon goal brought me far more satisfaction than just going jogging, it's my approach to woodworking that makes all the difference in my enjoyment of it. Just fixing something or cranking out a weekly project to appease YouTube isn't nearly as fulfilling as the moments when I tackle something that really challenges me. It's when we're forced to grow beyond ourselves that we can genuinely tap into everything that woodworking has to offer. It's really one of the coolest things about woodworking. No matter how long you've been at it, no matter how skilled you are, there are always new challenges. And I'm not the only one who's experienced this. Daniel was one of my first powered up students, and he's a real world example of what happens when you take the leap and decide to take on a woodworking challenge. I love this story and I just wanted to share it. It shows what happens when you move out of your comfort zone. Here's what Daniel said after submitting his photos for the fourth project of the course, the Santa Cruz Pine Bed. Big, heavy project. I'm really impressed by the result, and my friends' wives are jealous. People saw me as a hobbyist woodworker and were kind of laughing when I was talking about my wood projects. I'm the one laughing now. Now they know I can really build stuff for real. My daughter had her first night in her new bed. It's the best bed in the world, and I'm the best dad in the world. When I saw there was a bed to build in the course, I was very skeptical, but it was totally worth it. Big thanks to Steve. And this goes so far beyond woodworking. It's about who you become through the experience. Hey, you probably see amazing projects posted on Instagram and YouTube and be skeptical of your own abilities. You might get frustrated just trying to glue up a square panel. Everything everyone else does seems to always come out perfect. And then you start to think, hey, maybe if you just had that 2,000 square foot dream shop and $100,000 worth of digital tools, you could make all that cool stuff too. Look, these moments are the ones where you will grow and fully experience the pride that comes from building and completing something with your own hands, regardless of what everyone else seems to be doing. It's facing these challenges and mostly the self-doubt when woodworking becomes this portal to meaning, mastery, and being truly and deeply engaged in your life. And the best way to arrive at that place of flow is to pick a really specific goal and challenge yourself, something that you can really focus in on and take step by step. And that's why I created, wait for it, Powered Up. Powered Up is designed to be this challenge for you. It's designed to fill your weekends with something meaningful. It's designed to help you grow beyond yourself. Look, I don't mind plugging this course. I am really proud of it. Designing it, building all of the projects, and shooting hours and hours of educational content was my personal challenge for 2018. You are seriously going to love this course, and I know it will challenge you. But mostly, I hope this video inspires you to seek a challenge for yourself in 2019. And if you do decide to join being powered up, remember, it's not just to learn more about woodworking, although you will, but it's to get connected with this deep sense of satisfaction that comes with taking on a real challenge. We all crave the feeling of being really immersed in something with purpose and meaning, and I'd love to help you get there. Thanks for watching, everybody.